All right, Knowles, you there? There he is.
I am so excited for this. It's funny when you're working on a bunch of things. I mean, we started Another Kingdom a year ago, no, over a year and a half ago maybe, and you kind of forget when they're going to come out. And then I just wake up this morning and I see that it's out there on the website. I'm so excited for it, and the story is so good. You know, I kind of screw up the performance at times. You have to go back and do another take because I'm surprised by what happens in the story. You know, and I think, oh no, where'd that go?
You know, I don't want to give anything away, but there was a story. Some of the stuff that is made up that I was just making up in this is in the newspaper. I mean, like I'm looking at it going, oh my God, I made that stuff up. And it reminds me of I wrote a novel a long time ago with a prison break in it. And I called up the security guys at one of the toughest prisons. And I described the prison break and he said, that would work. And so when I opened the newspaper today, I thought, wait, that's my story, isn't it?
It is. That's right. I don't want to give anything away. Right. It is reading what's happening, especially in the press right now. With everything that's happening in politics, you know, and has been happening for a while, it is off the pages of Another Kingdom. There's a third kingdom now. You know, there's the LA of the story, this crazy fantasy land, and then there's reality, which is the craziest of all.
Well, you know, I've been waiting to have you on, not just to talk about this, but also to wish you a happy Columbus Day.
How dare you? How dare you,
I know
Drew.
This is your favorite holiday.
It is my favorite holiday. To quote Tony Soprano, Christopher Columbus was a brave Italian explorer, and in this house he's a hero. End of story. End of story.
I saw you on Twitter. Somebody was complaining, how can you make a hero out of Christopher Columbus when he destroyed, what was it, the Aztecs or something?
Oh, you know, all the indigenous people. You know, he arrived at the Taino peoples. He went to San Salvador. He went to the Isla de Caribe, where all of the cannibals were eating friars and things like that. And then, you know, because of him, the Europeans came. They established civilization in the Americas, and they wiped out the indigenous peoples. What they forget, though, they sometimes miss this point, is they say Christopher Columbus brought rape, genocide, and terror into this utopia of the New World. 5 years before Christopher Columbus landed in the Americas, the Aztec Empire slaughtered 84,000 people over the course of 4 days to concentrate the temple of Tenochtitlan.
He was a great god, though, Tenochtitlan.
But he was a good one. He's worth it. You know, if any of those gods are worth it, it's Tenochtitlan.
If you're going to kill 80,000 people, it should be for that guy, yeah.
Well, they seem to, I think they get the math a little wrong, though, because if Christopher Columbus brought over the slaughter and the genocide and the rape, he must have done it by teleportation 5 years before he actually arrived in the Americas.
You know, it is a good point, too. I'm willing to grant that there were Indian tribes in America who were mistreated and were cheated, of course. That is all true. But it is true that as a human being, right, the world that came to America, to this continent at that point, is a less violent world, a less oppressive world, a less, and of course for women, it's the only world to be in.
Right. And, you know, this is really what bothers me about, so all of this slander and smears against Columbus, they're all based on nothing. There's now in recent years, they've taken to using a couple documents about what a bad guy Columbus was to smear him. They're relying on one document that was written by Francisco de Bobadilla, who was Columbus's chief political rival in the New World. It'd be like, referring to Hillary Clinton's book to get an idea about who Donald Trump is. And so that is a little frustrating. But it's the ingratitude that's so frustrating, because you're living in this world. You're living in the nearest to heaven on earth, which is the Americas, the United States in particular. This country has given to the world more in charity, more in protection, more in liberty than any other civil power in history. And the self-flagellating Americans of today, particularly white liberals, think that it would be better had none of that ever happened. They say, oh, how awful it is that we're living here. Oh, hold on one second. I need to tweet on my iPhone about how terrible the founding of America is.
The corporations are. I got to tweet Google.
That's right. It's so idiotic.
Steven Pinker has a great line in his book, Enlightenment Now, which is a problematic book for me, but still, it's a very entertaining and knowledgeable book. It's full of interesting things. But he has a great line where he says, progress erases its own footprint. footprints. And the fact that we live in this world, I mean, sometimes, we go over to Jay Hayes' house and I sit on his balcony and I look down in a Trader Joe's. And for people who don't know, it's this fantastic upscale, supermarket, basically. Yeah. And I think, gosh, you could drive down to Trader Joe's and spend, a tiny fraction of the money you make and get some of the best food ever. Pharaoh of Egypt would give up his pyramids to have a trader. He really would. It's an amazing world, and we really don't know it. Speaking, though, I was saying that this is like the only place to be, is the only civilization that has ever treated women with the decency and kindness and freedom that this civilization does. The way they are, all we hear about is how evil we are, the right is toward women, and how sexist, we're terribly sexist. I've been watching the way they treated Melania Trump, especially in this Africa trip when she's been so charming and beautiful and delightful. She's being treated like garbage by the left.
Well, we need to believe all women. We need to support all women. We need to raise up all women unless they work for Donald Trump or are married to Donald Trump or have ever even looked at Donald Trump. And then we have to destroy them and smear them. The treatment of Melania is a scandal, and history will not look well upon the media and the Democrats who have abetted it. During the Obama administration, Michelle Obama appeared on 12 magazine covers.
Wow.
She graced a dozen magazine covers. Melania Trump, who has been a professional model since she was about 16, I believe she's been on one magazine cover. She was on Vanity Fair in 2017, and right at the inauguration, and there was this big hullabaloo about it, and so they refused to have her on these magazine covers. Michelle was on Vogue 3 times, Essence twice, Time magazine twice, no Melania, and now, by the way, with this Kenya trip, you've got the entire mainstream media apparatus going after her. So the main attack on her is that when she was on safari in Kenya, she dressed as is appropriate when you're on safari. That's the big attack.
They were picking on her for her hat. That's what I saw.
For her hat. Yeah. So she wore specifically the pith helmet.
Pith helmet.
Which is this, when you think of traveling around Africa, that's what you think of. And so CNN, they send out this headline that says, quote, U.S. First Lady Melania Trump's latest white hat evokes colonialist comparison. From you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I always love when they leave out the object of the, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, critics say, no, you're the critic. The New York Times, they write about this. The pith helmet Melania Trump wore during a Kenyan safari wasn't her most glaring faux pas.
Oh,
First of all, can you name one faux pas that I can't. But some see her choice of a symbol of European colonial rule as a big error on the global stage. Some, of course, being the New York Times. And it's not a symbol of colonial rule. The pith helmet, that very specific white hat, is still a part of the official uniform of the Kenyan government, of the public administration officers.
I remember when I was there, the cops wear them, don't they?
That's right. Yeah. They wear this hat. And I'll tell you something, they're not white people. But this is a symbol of colonial rule. It's so outrageous. So they just make it up whole cloth, and then they attack her for it, and they say, some say and critics say, and they alternately attack her for being, wicked and evil and a super genius, and then for being this dumb model, trophy wife that probably secretly hates Trump. And they never pick a lane. But I will point out, the woman speaks 6 languages?
Yeah.
5 or 6 languages?
5 or 6, yeah.
I mean, this is an accomplished woman. Maybe Donald Trump didn't pick her out because of her command of Serbo-Croatian, but still, this is an accomplished woman. This is a serious person. She's been graceful. She's been all class since she's been First Lady. And they do nothing but ignore her, and when they don't ignore her, they smear her. And they do this with every woman in the Trump administration.
She is, that's true too. That is true too. I mean, she has been absolutely startling. The only one who's been more startling has been Trump himself. What a great job he's done. They have both done a tremendous job, and they do nothing. You're absolutely right. Kellyanne Conway, Sarah Sanders, the way they treat her is abhorrent.
They mock her appearance constantly.
Yeah.
They did, and they were all guffawing at the White House Correspondents' Dinner when they were making fun of her smoky eye and her frown.
It's unbelievable. And, the thing is, it really does point out that in each case, in whatever identity they're creating, whether it's gay people or black people or, women, whatever they do, it's always just about the leftism. It is
Right.
always to sell the leftism. And you know what their big problem is? Their big problem is you can sell race stuff to people because a lot of races don't intermingle. We self-segregate. So you can talk to black people about how evil white people are, and they may not know that many white people. But the problem they have with women is women know men. They have nice husbands. They have nice sons.
Yep.
They love the men in their lives. It's a little harder to sell them on this absolute crap they sell that you're their friend.
That's such a good point, because they were banking on, during the Kavanaugh circus, increasing voter enthusiasm among Democrat women and crushing it among Republican women. In fact, the opposite happened. Voter enthusiasm among Democrat women decreased by 2 points, and among Republican women, I think it was up over 10 points.
Well, let's hope. Let's hope that actually.
I know.
shows.
Fingers crossed.
What are you talking about on your show
Today, we're going to be talking about just this little news story of the day that that Brett Kavanaugh was confirmed.
What?
To the
What? I
I
didn't
don't
hear
know if
that.
you heard
No.
about that. Unfortunately, I can't crack a brewski right now with PJ and Squee, but we're going to be talking about that a fair bit. And we're going to, once we get through all of that, once we thank all of the great conservative heroes like Susan Collins and Cocaine Mitch and Where Am I Living Right Now, once we get through that, we will have to go a little more in depth on the founder of our Western New World civilization, Mr. Christopher Columbus.
Mr. Christopher Columbus. My favorite tweet that went out over the weekend was from us. I think it was the Daily Wire. One of the wags put up this thing with the leftist tears tumbler and just said, I like tears. I still like tears.
I like tears. Do you like tears? I like tears.
I like tears. All right, Knowles, always great to talk to you. I'll see you soon.
Good to see you.